Apparently, the major parties seem to be having a hard time on who takes that position. Each party is considering how to balance the different divides, either through region or regional divide, in such a way to boost their chances of winning the 2023 elections. Stakeholders in the ruling party and the main opposition have been urged to ensure national inclusion to help in managing the divisive tendencies and as well promote national unity. And that is what guests on Good Morning Nigeria shall be examining on the politics of running mates to strike a balance. Will the nomination be based on short or long-term governance considerations, and from which region? Guests will provide answers shortly.
Thank you very much, Garba Nabala, for that background. And here to discuss this topic, welcome George Agbakai. He's a politician and a political analyst. Delighted to have you this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Also here with us, Aliu Audu, convener APC Rebirth. Aliu?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
All right, and still in our Abuja studio, Suleiman Dauda Sukukum, Secretary General, Conference of Autochthonous Ethnic Nationalities Community Development Association, a network of indigenous peoples organizations in Middle Belt and Northern Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And we are hoping in a short while instead that we'll be able to establish link with the former Speaker of Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Muyiwa Oladipo, but that will be in due course. So,
all right, let's get started with the guests who are here with us. You see the caption on the screen there. Well, that's a shorthand form. It's a politics of picking, if you may, a running mate, or politics of choosing a running mate, and that's what we are focusing on, not just the politics of running mate. It's politics of picking or choosing a running mate. Now, gentlemen, you are all, as it were, familiar with the suspense, the intrigue and considerations around the choice of a running mate for the various standard bearers in the presidential elections coming up next year. So we're done with the nominations of the candidates. Now they have 48 hours to pick their running mates. That's for them. Of course, we also have some intriguing scenarios for the governors, but theirs, of course, in terms of deadline, would be in July, according to the INEC calendar. Aliu, give us a sense of what it's all about and why there appears to be some uncertainty in the permutations.
all right. I think over the years, the choice of running mate have been a lot easier because we seem to have been preconditioned to the idea that the northern is a Muslim north. I mean, the northern region is predominantly Muslims, and the south is predominantly Christian. So we think if we pick anybody either as a primary candidate, as a flag standard bearer, or the running mate from each of these regions, we expect that they reflect the predominant religion in the region. I mean, I am of a young generation, and having seen what challenges we have faced, how we have been pushed along our fault lines in the country, and how all of these decisions of picking from this has not necessarily translated into promoting unity, and the danger of it, of continue along, it's like working a plan that has not given us a result. We can't keep doing things the same way and expect different results. At some point, I am of the opinion that as individuals, as collectives, as corporate bodies, organizations, political parties, we are going to have to deliberately and consciously invest in our national unity. We're very concerned about the regional balance, because Nigeria, as it were, it's a product of amalgamation of regions. So we need to have a regional balance. But religion doesn't play the same role. However, we have seen over the years, how sensitive the religion issues are, but you know, when the time comes for us to invest and make deliberate decisions along lines that help unite Nigerians along religious lines, we seem to always pick the easier option, sweeping it under the carpet and expect that. I mean, for instance, I'll speak for my party. I'll speak for what our group is about. We want a united, prosperous Nigeria where everyone from every part of the country sees himself or herself as a vital part of the country, irrespective of his faith. So we have done one good move in that direction by picking a standard bearer from the south who is a Muslim. We are, you know, in a difficult position of picking a running mate from a predominantly Muslim-dominated north. But I personally and a few of my friends and group believe that there is need to balance the ticket on a religious line. That would be an investment of my party. That would be a sign of that the Progressive Party, the APC, is truly committed to a united Nigeria, unlike the opposition who wouldn't take any of those things as serious as it should be.
Well, leave the opposition because they're not here to defend themselves. But I think one good thing, you mentioned, because it's difficult to divorce religion from politics, especially in Nigeria. As you pointed out, we have a regional balance, or perhaps a balancing of a political equation, when it comes to the appointment of, or rather, or choosing a running mate in an election of this magnitude. Suleiman Dauda Sokokum, you are a rep of an autochthonous ethnic nationality community development association, meaning that that section of Nigeria will also be required to be represented in whatever form, especially with this issue of choosing a running mate for each of the political parties. Now, what would be your thought, with respect to the uncertainties, that's been beclouding the issue of choosing a running mate for all the major three political parties, the APC, the PDP, and of course the Labour Party?
Yeah, I think a major issue is the fact that though we are not doing too badly, but then we have a serious problem in terms of managing our diversity in this country. And when the activists or leaders who are supposed to take decisions on the basis or try to claim that diversity does not matter, then you have a lot of problems. Because even if it has to do with just mere sentiments, people strongly believe in who they are. And some of the major forms of diversity we have in this country are ethnic and religious. And you can see that a lot of the conflicts and crises we have in the country are also ethno-religious in form. These differences are not limited to the so-called three major ethnic groups. Even when you go down to states, you find those kind of differences and those kind of challenges there. So a good leader should be able to manage this diversity, and our leaders owe Nigerians this duty to create a sense of belonging for everyone, where people will feel, yes, this country belongs to us, not that we are second class in any way. So people have asked this question silently. Can a Muslim from the south emerge as the president of Nigeria? And can a Christian from the north emerge as the president of Nigeria? Or does it mean that minority Muslims in the south are completely, will never have the hope of emerging as presidents in Nigeria, so that anytime it's going to the south, it has to be a Christian, and anytime it's going to the north, it has to be a Muslim. Another big question is, must the president come from one of these so-called big three? I don't want to call them major, because they are more of regional major ethnic groups. The diversity in the country is such that every Nigerian must have the confidence as a young man and as a young woman that he can aspire to be anything in this country, irrespective of his religion or ethnicity. I think the the various tickets I see, especially of the candidates that seem to be making waves recently, presents us with a great opportunity. You have an Igbo candidate in Peter Obi. Who will he choose as his running mate? It matters a lot. And can an Igbo be the president of Nigeria? That is a question that will be answered. Another challenging issue is, you have Atiku, of course, people argue about his ethnicity. But the question is, who will he choose as his running mate? It also matters. Because you just can't have monotony in the whole system. And you have experiences in which you have a meeting. And in all honesty, the discussion is done with the intention of fairness. But the sentiments of the people out in the public will be that none of their own is at that meeting, and therefore they are not represented. We work with communities, that happens. They are the same language, living in the same village, but if you will hold a meeting and one of the clans or the families that constitute the village is not represented, the next thing is that if the decision seemingly appears not to favor them, they go against it. And it's very difficult to explain to people why that happens. Look at the security situation we're facing in this country, the conflicts we're having. God has helped us to such an extent that some level of patience and endurance among Nigerians has not led to a total breakdown of the system. There is a lot of suspicion. Reading the news, a lot of Christians wonder what the president is doing. A lot of people feel he's favoring his own. You have all arguments about the defense chiefs and all sorts of things like that. Some of them are a reflection of the sentiment of Nigerians. And I don't think any party should just throw away those sentiments and try to explain them by claiming that we should just go for competence or there's no need to take those things into consideration.
Okay.
When you fail to do that, the tendency is, it may not be the election that will result, it may be the aftermath of the election that we will find difficult to manage.
All right. Suleiman Dauda Sukukum, thank you very much for your views. You raised a number of issues, but some of them are most likely contentious. You say that there are conversations around the ethnicity of Atiku Abubakar. I think that's a settled matter. I mean, he's from Adamawa State, that's been confirmed. And yes, it's Fulani, but what else is contentious about his ethnicity? So let's clarify that. I think that's significant. We earlier indicated that a guest will be joining us via Zoom. My colleague Kirian did that. Our engineers tell us that the Zoom is up. Now, if we can see him on the screen, that means that he's up. He's the former Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Muyiwa Oladipo. Too much light on his face, we can see that. But regardless, Honorable Muyiwa Oladipo, delighted to have you on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll come back to you presently, but back to the studios, Chief Judge Agbabaki. We earlier introduced you. Agbakabi. Agbakabi.
Please.
Agbakahi. Agbakahi. Maybe you tell our viewers what the name means. Let me crack this joke with the greatest respect to you. Agbaka in Edo language means a crocodile.
Okay.
So that's we hear me scrambling to say Agbaka, Agbaka. Yeah. So I'm grappling with that. So Agbakahi, what does that mean?
Well, Agbakahi is a traditional, Igbo name from Imo State.
Okay.
It means Agbakahi, which means, as a man, you cannot be able to function in a society, if you don't have what you can use to feed your children, put them through school. Agbakahi.
Okay,
you need to have a job.
You must be a resource as a man.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. So the crocodile aspect is out of it in terms of the meaning of Agbaka. Well, let's get your views now on the politics of choosing a running mate. Usually, what are the considerations?
Yes. Thank you very much for having me. I think the issue of choosing a running mate in a presidential election is one of the major tests of a presidential candidate. In every society, including the United States, the nature of your campaign, and the acceptance of your campaign, in most cases, remotely being determined by your choice of running mate. I'll give you an example in the US. I remember when President Trump, who was a businessman before he got the nod, that's the presidential candidacy of the Republican Party, being a liberal from New York, he was looking for somebody, who is a little bit religious, and had to go to Mike Pence, former governor of Indiana and a former congressman, because he's a conservative religious man. So he chose him. In the case of Hillary Clinton, when she got the nod, also coming from New York and Arkansas, had to go all the way to Virginia to choose, the senator from Virginia, because of the difficulties the Democratic Party usually have in winning Virginia, which was more or less a conservative state. So now, in our Nigerian context, with the emergence of some regional leaders in the presidential politics, especially when you talk about former Governor Peter Obi of Anambra State, as well as Senator Kwankwaso of Kano State, you find out that the political permutation has changed drastically. And now, the various presidential candidates are looking for somebody that they will choose that would also add electoral value to their winning the presidency of this great country. Naturally, you look for somebody that has an electoral value in terms of his region or his state. As a presidential candidate, you look for somebody who is eminently prepared, somebody who has the requisite qualification to take over from the one in case if there is an emergency on the side of the president. You also look for somebody, where you can consider the geographical balance. For example, in the APC, presidential candidate Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a Southern Muslim from Lagos State. It's now incumbent on him to look for a Muslim or a Christian from the northern part of the country, who has that electoral value that can assist him in winning the chunk of votes, in predominantly northern area, where he as a southern candidate needs a lot of votes, considering the fact that Atiku Abubakar is also a northern Muslim. So there are a lot of permutations. You need to look at the character of the person you are choosing in question. What is his credibility? Does he have problems, with EFCC? Does he have problems with ICPC? These are issues that a presidential candidate needs to take into consideration before making a choice of, vice presidential running mate. It is very important that the presidential candidate in question gets it right. Because if you do not get it right, you have to pay on election day.
All right. When you talked about those that did not have issues with ICPC or EFCC, as the case may be, it will be very difficult to get some of the candidates that may not have had one thing or the other with these two grabbed agencies.
Yeah, but Kieran, I think that the underscore of what he's saying, that's say Chief Agbakahi, is namely for us to remember it is a joint ticket. That's to say the presidential candidate literally and constitutionally marries the vice presidential candidate who is his running mate. So the two then become one. The two become one. What happens to one affects the other. You saw what happened in Bayelsa, where that's what it was referred, part of what it was referring to, where the running mate had issues with his identity, and just at the time the governor-elect was engaged in the rehearsal at the stadium, riding the jeep around the Land Rover around the stadium and waving as he would do on the day of inauguration. A phone call came, of course the president not tell directly, say, oh God, there's a message for you. And then we know what happened.
All right. Yeah. We need to go to Right Level Moiwa or Lightmore. I think that you listened to other guests here in this studio, and what we're looking at is the political quagmire, if you like, in trying to choose a running mate in a very dicey situation. Sokokum talked about Tinubu emerging from the south of Nigeria, and he is a Muslim, and he has that challenge of choosing a running mate from a predominantly Muslim area, and he is a Muslim. So considering the religious aspect of what we're discussing this morning, he may perhaps reason towards picking a northern Christian who may not have the kind of a political influence he may require to capture votes in the north. That's just one example. The same thing applies to Atiku Abubakar and of course a P2B of the LP. So let's get your own view about this entire challenge of choosing the right running mate for the three key candidates of the key major political parties in Nigeria.
Good morning once again. Let me just agree with you from the beginning that this is the political quagmire. In the beginning of the dispensation, all parties are very careful with this religiosity. A Muslim Christian ticket, a Christian Muslim ticket. And we cannot but admit that religion is playing a very dominant role in Nigeria today. So no party should go into election without taking into consideration that aspect. And we have in Nigeria today, APC particularly, and having Senator Bola Tinubu as a man, and he's a Muslim, it will hold on the party to pick a Christian running mate. But there is a problem. In picking a running mate, such running mate must be somebody politically savvy, who can control votes, who can give APC votes as much as possible. And of course, you will remember that in the build-up of the primary, it was a case of Muslim ticket. Actually, once let us know that in 2015, the reason was dropped was this Muslim ticket. So why do we not have to say that it is this Muslim ticket that will take the day? And Mr. Agbakani did say, and that is the truth, there is a joint ticket. What affects A will affect B. I want to say that whatever the case may be, it is better to know the states in Nigeria today. No party should play this religion. And all of us must come around together. If it is a PDP where we have a Muslim ticket, where we have a Muslim presidential candidate, I know without being told that PDP is going to pick a Christian southerner, and South is predominantly a Christian region. North is a Muslim region. So my take is that we should, as much as possible, try to do the balancing. That is why Khan has come up to say that any candidate must pick a Christian if the presidential candidate is a Muslim. It's going to be a very difficult situation if you have a Muslim ticket. But then, Nigerians can understand once in a while. Like, we look at June 1993 election, where we had Muslim ticket. But for what has been happening in the last few years, maybe this religion will not have played an important role. But today, I believe very strongly that we all need to come around, appreciate the fact that religion is important. Whenever you bring up, all party members must come together to support such a person. Even if you have a Christian, another Christian, who is not popular, you can make him popular if the presidential candidate is popular. We shouldn't put ourselves in a situation where we are not able to have a situation where you say, "I die alone." So my belief is that we should try as much as possible to do a balancing.
All right. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Muyiwa Oladipo, for your views. I think his Zoom connection is good. Perhaps to take maximum advantage of that in the meantime. Gentlemen, there has been a great deal of romanticism about June 12, 1993, when we had the Muslim ticket. And that 30 years next year, it might still be replicated in the thinking of some persons. But again, gentlemen, you have all pointed out the major challenges that we are now facing. In other words, dynamics are not the same as they were almost 30 years ago when Abiola and Kingibe had the ticket of the Social Democratic Party. But one question I would like Muyiwa Oladipo to also weigh in on is to say, look, let's take a look at what we made with the greatest respect to the other presidential candidates and their parties. There are, at the moment, 3 or maybe 4 front runners in the thinking of some analysts. I mean, you have the party in power, that's the APC, you have the main opposition, PDP, and then you have the Labour Party with Peter Obi, some say generating some momentum, and then Kwankwaso in Kano, who is also very popular, and then PP. Now, what are the factors that will be playing out in all of this? This is a question matter, but what are the considerations, just apart from religion? There are also choices to make. I mean, who is going to have the biggest chunk of pie from any of the regions, whether in the southwest or in the south, in the southeast, in the north, as it were? Atiku is already there. Atiku is not pushover, by the way. It's not going to be his first presidential contest. In the past, he had garnered millions of votes from the same region. So who's going to eat into this? Where is he also going to eat into? For the APC, what's likely to happen? Are these considerations that the electors of the running mates would consider?
Yes. Of course, in politics, it's a game of number. And across the board, especially in the Northwest has the highest number of registered voters today. And because Northwest has relatively controlled the political situation in the last 20 years, I mean, if we look at Yar'Adua, even President Buhari, they're all from Northwest. My view is that without doubt, what matters most, aside of religion, is the popularity of the running mate in this region. And that is why I feel that the problem APC has today is this issue of the popular northern candidate. That's the Christian, the northern Christian. And of course, one thing is that they have taken into consideration Northeast has not really been not really been at the center, at least in the executive. And that's why they have gone to Northeast to wanting to pick a candidate. The reason is that if we are picking a northern Christian, will it be acceptable to the generality of the North? If you're picking Muslim, veto a Muslim running mate. But because only the game of numbers, I think at this level, we should downplay religion. That is when you now be able to have a Muslim ticket. Will it fly?
We'll just
I think
have some apprehension. Yes, about the Zoom connection.
Yes,
carry on.
Yes, let's get to Ali out to once more. Before we had that speech, he was making reference to the challenge of Tinubu, for instance, who is a candidate of your party in choosing another vice presidential candidate from northeast of Nigeria, and of course a Christian for that matter. But his worry was that that may not fly. It may not fly if he chooses another Muslim who has a popularity or political influence that could also assist Tinubu in garnering vote. And I don't know, although not from PDP, but it also interesting for you to also look at the the challenge that Atiku is facing presently in also choosing a presidential running mate from either south or southeast of Nigeria, considering the fact that as observers have indicated that the southeast has supported PDP all along since 1999, and the way the pendulum is moving at this moment, some are saying that he could pitch his camp with a candidate from the south of Nigeria, which is going to be a problem for the party. Then in the case of Peter, for instance, for the first time he's coming, perhaps second time, he's coming to the national limelight, this time around being a standard bearer of party, the Labour Party. And of course he also had a challenge of choosing a northern running mate. In fact, he shouldn't even consider anything, but he will just go for a Muslim. If you ask me, I mean, the Nigerians, from the northern part of the country. But will he now be able to choose someone who has the political influence in the north that could also help him to garner votes? So, what put all these in context?
Okay, I quite agree with the notion that politics is a game of number, but I think that as we move, into our quest for a peaceful, united, prosperous nation, we must be deliberate about our investment in that. We must be deliberate as a people. And for my party, beyond religion, there are other factors that determine, how well a party fares at the polls. And we need to, continue. We need to begin to de-emphasize religion, in choosing our leaders, because that is the only way the ordinary man on the street will de-emphasize religion in interacting with other individuals. We pay lip service to these things, but we need to act it. We need to walk the talk. Irrespective of our running mate in the APC, we are going to have to work to gather votes. And I think half of our work has been done with the performance of our government in the past 7 years, the popularity of Mr. President in the northern region, the popularity of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu across the country as a standard bearer for our party. Right Honorable rightly said, Northwest holds the biggest chunk of votes. Luckily for us, 6 of the 7 states in our party from the region. So I would expect that if our governors from those 6 states have performed well, which I think largely they have, it won't be too difficult to canvass for your party irrespective of who is on the ballot for the region. What that will be doing for our national unity is huge. I mean, we already have Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, whose majority of supporters are not Muslims. That's a sizable chunk taken out of it, irrespective of our running mate from the north. We have an Atiku who has been in the game for as long as Asiwaju Bola Ahmed has been, and the bigger portion of his supporters from the north are Muslims. Irrespective of our running mate, those are that we are going to have to try to get off. Then we now have our party.
I know that you are for the APC rebirth. I mean, we didn't get in the PDP guy or a Labour guy to also join in this analysis. So our intention was to have a non-partisan discussion of these issues. So because I respect the point you are making and your views and your position that our party will do this, our party. But for a Nigerian who is watching us, he or she wants to have an understanding of how all of these matters will play out. That's to say, okay, we're looking at the broad permutations and talking about ideals and what are the issues, that they have a better understanding of what behind the choice of a running mate. Bring again, I will pause you. Bring in again, Chief Judge Bakahi. Chief Bakahi, look again. When you look at the entire map and the candidates who have emerged from 3 or 4 political parties to participate in next year's general elections, Kano, Jigawa, you have Kwankwaso there, and then Atiku Abubakar from Adamawa, but of course, it's got to spread in some parts of the north. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the southwest, and of course, it's got a stronghold there in the southwest. And then we have Peter Obi, Labour Party. Peter Obi is from the southeast. Now, there's been a deal of sentiment about power shifting to the south, and more particularly power shifting to the southeast. And here, there's a candidate who has emerged from that zone. Now, he's a Christian from the south. Expectedly, he would be a running mate from the northern part of the country. What are the likely considerations if you already have somebody from the southeast? Are you not coming to compete with him in the southeast? If you already have somebody from the southwest, are you not coming to compete with him by bringing a running mate from the southwest? What are those issues that you think will play out on the political as the leaders of the parties are considering who to pick for a running mate?
I think it's very important that leaders consider acceptability, of the candidate, of the potential running mate. Look, let me tell you, like I had said earlier, in light of the current political realities in the country, the entire equation has changed, both in the southeast, northwest, and northeast. We know very well that Peter Obi, is a very popular person in the southeast, and he did pretty well as governor of Anambra State. And in the southeast, and probably in Nigeria as a whole, he's seen as an honest gentleman. Now, you also have to find out that PDP as a party had failed the southeast. Remember vividly, prior to the primary election, South in general was supposed to be the beneficiary of both PDP and APC presidential nomination. Considering the role Southeast has played, in PDP since 1999, it was so unfortunate that PDP failed Southeast. And that has emboldened the candidacy of P2B more in the Southeast. So, based on our own internal polling, P2B may do very well in the Southeast, probably getting about 50% of the vote. Then, remaining 50% will be shared between APC and PDP. And you will even find out that you know, because of the way the Southeast sees PDP as a party they believe in, worked with for the past, you know, several years. Southeast is pretty very likely to vote more for APC, you know, than PDP. You have to also consider the fact, look at this permutation. The current governor of a state, Jumahi, we all know had joined APC almost in the past 2 years. And he's one of the best performing governor in the country. You know, and similarly, look at Senator Hope, the governor of the state. Since he came on board 2 years ago, he has done, you know, absolutely well in the area of infrastructure in Imo State.
But some will say he has a bad day.
Chief Judge Abaka, you know, I think we should focus more attention. Your permutations, you have a good submission, no doubt about that. You know, but I would have loved you to think towards how P2B, for instance, will pick a running mate. The focus of this program is on the politics of choosing a running mate by the key candidates of the major parties now playing out in Nigeria at the moment. So, where should P2B pick a running mate from? That is what I would like you to talk about.
To me, P2B very likely supposed to pick a running mate from the Northwest to have a political balance, considering the fact that Atiku Abubakar is from the Northeast, you know, and APC is also considering picking a running mate probably from the Northeast. So if P2B picks a running mate from the Northwest, it will be a plus for him. But at the same time, you know, PDP itself, based on the, you know, media, is looking at picking a running mate from the South, you know, which, you know, if you do a critical analysis, might also be a minus, since he's not picking the running mate from the Southeast. That now gives room.
Now that's interesting.
That now gives room for parties like APC, ADC, ABGA, and P2B's party to now campaign seriously for the chunk of the votes in the Southeast. You know, then if you come to the Northwest, you know, like my brother Ali, you rightly said, Kwankwaso, as we know, is a powerhouse in the Northwest, especially in Kano State. You know, Kwankwaso himself, all right, may have to go to Southeast or South to pick a running mate. He may even go to the Southwest to pick a running mate. You know, so to see as if he's going to take some votes, you know, from Asuwaju in the Southwest. Why? Because we know that in the Southwest, Asuwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a household name. You know, considering the role he has played, you know, as a political coach in the Southwest, where he has powered a lot of people, and they review him in the Southwest. So, Kwankwaso to get into Southwest to have a pinch of their vote. So that's basically the permutation, and that's why you see AC heading to Northeast, so as to divide, you know, votes of Abubakar Atiku. And apart from going to the Northeast, they are going to the far Northeast. They are considering far Northeast. You know, they are considering Borno State, they are considering Adamawa State, they are considering Yobe State. So those are the permutations. There are a lot of intrigues, and you know, politics is pretty dynamic.
That's right. That's right. Chief Abubakar, thank you very much for that elaboration. I'm just wondering if Honorable Muyiwa Oladipo is still with us there via Zoom, so that we're just taking one last time before we come to the studios and then sign off the guests and then go on to our second topic. Honorable Muyiwa Oladipo, say a word or two about the reported role of governors in the choice of a presidential running mate. We hear that governors are meeting, of course, We also hear that any one of them is also being considered. But what should this be? Ordinarily, I mean, is it your responsibility? What voice should the presidential candidate himself have in all of these considerations? Very quickly.
No doubt, the God's voice is a very strong and powerful one. But that's not to say that the running mate to Bola Tinubu must be a governor. Maybe a past governor, maybe a serving governor. It should not be tied to that in the sense that Bola Tinubu's running mate must be a governor, a serving governor, a past governor. What matters most is a person.
We are still having issues with that Zoom. And just before we conclude the program, I'd like to return to Suleiman Dauda Sukukum. You listen to others, right? Yeah. So to make your own comments. Now we are now thinking about the permutations with respect to the three major parties, who are now working towards picking presidential running mates from different parts of the country. Very quickly.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the most interesting elections we're going to have in this country. But we need to understand that politics is both an art and a science. And if you are not pragmatic about your permutations, the tendency is that you may just make mistakes by just taking decisions that may not work out. The issue is that there are patterns of voting among our various geopolitical zones. If you go to the northwest, for instance, the fact that you pick a vice president from the northwest does not guarantee that you're going to get their votes. They have a pattern of voting. If you come to the middle belt, the central and others, they have a pattern of voting. And then with some of the factors coming in that you have candidates, for instance, from the northeast where Atiku is well established, getting the total votes of the northeast means you have to have the calculations properly done. The same applies to going to the Yoruba side. Some of the sentiments are not pleasant to talk about because we want to project a positive image of the country. But the reality on the ground is that ethnicity will come in. Most Igbos will not vote against Peter Obi, for instance, just as the chief said. If you go to the northwest, the question is, if the northwest are going to, for instance, vote on the basis of religion, will they prefer voting for a vice presidential candidate, or will they prefer voting for a presidential candidate? And I think these are important things that will help with the decisions.
All right, I think we'll still have time, maybe in the future to discuss this topic before the final day for submission of names for the vice presidential candidates by INEC. So, on that note, we'd like to appreciate all of you for being here this morning. First, Chief George Abakahe, politician, and of course, a very key figure in our Ashwaju campaign organization. Thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Ali Audu, convener APC Rebirth. You say you have to go and work. Really, it's time to work. Okay, we appreciate you being here this morning. Suleiman Dauda Sukukum, Secretary General of Conference of Autochthonous Ethnic Nationalities Community Development Association. Thank you for being part of our program this morning. And we would like to thank the former Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Muyiwa Oladebo, who joins us via Zoom from Ogun State. All right, and that does it for the first leg of our conversation this morning on Good Morning Nigeria. Take a short break now. When we return, we have on our hands the marketing conference, which will be coming up tomorrow. Stay with us.
Wake up the champion in your child. Give them energy to go further. Milo Active Go and the natural goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa helps wake up the champion in your child.
The Nigerian aviation sector is rapidly growing with the construction of new international airport terminals in several regions of the country. The new Murtala Mohammed International Airport has an estimated passenger increase of 30 million annually and 15 million for Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Malam Aminu Kano International Airport is also expected to open new frontiers for the region with more travel capacity for the annual Hajj, while the new Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, avails more business opportunities connecting the industrial cities in the region to the world. This new terminal beat world-class standards with enabling infrastructure that aid air travel, tourism, and the eventual growth of the country's GDP.
Open up commerce and, of course, link us to international societies.
People from the international community will come here to do business, and then that will bring in more revenue to the state.
Now, distances can be seamlessly covered as Nigeria keeps raising its bar to suit.
The center is purposely established in order to provide these services that are examinations, medical examinations and investigations that were not provided for in Kano as well as the entire Northwest region. It's equipped with modern technological equipment in terms of radiological services. We have MRI 1.5 Tesla. We have digital X-ray as well as 4D ultrasound equipment. The importance of the center cannot be overemphasized. Just within 1 year, the center attended to thousands and numerous patients as well as medical examinations. NDC is established in order also to provide these healthcare facilities as a discounted price.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of
our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque. Please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If you want a stable society before, during, and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure people all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria, NIMN, has scheduled its 2022 annual marketing conference as well as its annual general meeting to hold on the 16th through the 17th of June 2022. And joining us from our Lagos Network Center to talk more about the conference is Idi Enang, his president of the Institute of Marketing of Nigeria. Idi Enang, I'd like to have you on the program this morning.
And good morning, distinguished viewers. Good to be here.
Also part of the conversation is Chioma Afe, who is the chairperson of the planning subcommittee of the annual marketing conference. Chioma Afe, you're there. It's a delight to have you also on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Gentleman and lady, it's good to have you with us this morning. And I'd like to begin with Chioma. What is the theme of this conference, and what does it intend to achieve?
The conference theme this year is Driving Business Sustainability in the Age of Data and Technology. And we chose that theme specifically because we've looked at what's been happening around the world globally and specifically in Nigeria over the past 2 years through the pandemic, and now as we are recovering from that. And we are asking ourselves how much businesses have evolved, the role of marketing and marketers in businesses leveraging data to drive business growth, and how do we intend to sustain businesses as marketers and the marketing profession moving forward. There's a lot to expect over the next couple of days. On Thursday and on Friday, robust conversations around data, marketing, businesses, and the growth of the profession in the nation.
Please. And who is invited to attend?
What we've done is that we've opened it up to our members, our fully paid members of the institute, virtually and also physically. We've also opened it up to non-members. So we ran a campaign over the past month. We pushed out flyers, we had engagements, we had ads that encourage members and non-members to register for physical attendance. We had limited slots available, as you know, and then we also, following that, opened up for non-members as well, non-members of the institute. We encourage our corporate partners as well. We've got quite a few corporate sponsors, and their marketing teams are also encouraged as well to attend. So the public, marketing, I think, is at the heart of everything we do these days. Everybody's trying to push a product or push personal brand in some form. So we open the doors to even those who are not within the institute at this time, including other sectorial businesses that are within that marketing ecosystem. Digital marketers, advertisers, experiential agencies, and so on are all expected to attend, and we look forward to having quite a few of them there.
Okay, thank you, Chema. Let's go to EDN. EDN, how will the conference be able to change the narrative of marketing in Nigeria? What is it all about?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's first and foremost going to drive a measure of infusion of knowledge with the whole gamut of exchange and exchanges that will happen. We expect that those present and those that will go through the high points of it will gain reasonable knowledge, and that knowledge in itself will drive a perspective. And the perspectives will also allow people to know how to navigate, the times and what to do, especially when you talk about data, the place of data, technology, and especially where you look at small-scale businesses. They are the ones that really look at this in, with some pinch of salt, but they need to understand that it's key. And finally, the perspectives will gravitate into convictions that will make them see themselves as, hey, we are here to drive sustainable businesses and ultimately build our economy.
I'd like you to also weigh in on the question I asked. Maybe Chairman didn't quite respond to that. Where is the conference taking place?
The conference is taking place tomorrow at the hotel. It starts at 10 a.m. And I know that we also have our AGM, annual general meeting, on the 17th, the same venue. So it's taking place on the 16th, tomorrow at 10 a.m.
What is the nature of the conference? Will there be a lead speaker? And what is the title of the paper of the lead speaker? Will there be a discussion of the paper? Will there be breakout sessions? What is the nature of the conference?
Okay, I'll more or less set the tone, and I'll let my chairperson, as my boss, she's the one in charge of it, to speak to it. The keynote speaker we have tomorrow is Mr. Kelechi, I beg your pardon, Mr. Kola Oyeyemi. Kelechi is one of the panelists. His name I was talking about him before we went on air. Kola Oyeyemi comes in with a vast experience, and he's been in marketing. He's also been very strong working as senior executive of MTN, running his own outfit now. So he's going to taper his paper around the theme of the conference, and then we have two sets of panel sessions, which I'll swing that over to Choma to speak to.
Okay, so we've got two panels. The first panel will be moderated by Angela Kinwa, who is a business director at EXP, Experiential Agency, and that panel is themed Disruptive Marketing. And I think what we're looking at there and what we hope to come out of that, those conversations, is what has changed, what has disrupted in marketing over the past 2-3 years. How have businesses disrupted their model using marketing over the past 2-3 years? So we have on that panel Kelechi Musu, like ID mentioned. We also have business director as well from Experiential Agency EXP. We've got someone from Allied Foods, the Burger King people, and we also have the GM marketing from 7-Up bottling company as well. And we believe that between the four of them, there will be some serious disruption going on as well tomorrow. Our second panel, following a short break, will be the future of marketing in this age of data and tech. So it's that discussing that marriage between marketing and technology. We've seen how far digital marketing, social media, and so on, AI has taken marketing now, and how data and analytics has also taken marketing far. So we will be having that second panel moderated by Mr. Tima Ogedi-Alakwe, and we will have that panel the more techie types of marketers. We are looking at people who are innovators, who are in the fintech business, who are disrupting in terms of recruitment, using data and technology, who are pushing customer acquisition, a completely different perspective as well. So we also have an academic, Professor Uche Nazo, from the Lagos Business School. We're excited to have him there because I think he will also look at both the history and the future of marketing, looking at how it's now coming together with data and tech. So that will be the second panel. Following that, clearly there will be questions. Both panels will attract a lot of questions and answers. We will discuss all that, and then we'll all wrap it up at the end of the day, looking at what are the key points, the key highlights, what is the take forward. We also have a perspective from young marketers and mass communication students, which we'll be sharing on the day on how they see marketing and how they see the future of the profession in Nigeria and the impact that we believe NIMN will start to play when it comes to grooming these young marketers in Nigeria. And then we will then move on to our highlights, which is the induction of our fellows. Following the conference itself, we will then induct our brand new fellows for 2022. Thank you.
Well spoken from our chairman planning subcommittee of the annual marketing conference. But let's return to EDN, the president of NAME. Nigerians are so good, when it comes to planning and the implementation of a plan. From what we've heard from both of you, it does appear that you have a very well articulated, planned conference that will take place tomorrow. Now, beyond just the talks, she has mentioned a number of professionals, who are going to be speaking tomorrow, and the panelists who are also gifted and professionals who are going to make contributions on various topics, that will be discussed tomorrow. But ordinary Nigerian would like to understand how all of this, will impact on marketing as a profession in Nigeria, and how marketing has played a role in overall national development.
Well, thank you very much for the question. I guess, starting from the dimension looked at it, clearly we are very, very succinct in terms of visioning. We knew last year we were going to look at digital aspect of marketing, and then we also knew from a vision standpoint that we needed to reactivate and energize the atmosphere, especially with our ecosystem, and we needed to provide a perspective as thought leaders within the marketing industry and as it were. However, like you will always find in everything, you will always have certain limitations that would not allow you put on the full gamut of it. And I must say that, the committee has done extremely well. It's been a tough ride. It looks very dandy on the surface, but, I'd say congratulations to Joma and our team and indeed the entire chairman of several committees that are putting this together. There's some good hard work going through, so that cannot be taken for granted. That said, what a way forward. Chairman landed at a point where we hope to come out with all of the brain-busting thoughts, ideas, and dimensions that will come through. This will become more or less, we solve as a communique, which we will take in, internalize, and the governing council will then take that in a perspective where we will then iterate it within the confines of our ecosystem. And I'm talking about our stakeholders, we're talking about our members, we're talking about our corporate members, individual members, and within the specialties within marketing. Whether we're talking about communications, digital marketing, experiential marketing, each of these arrowheads will then understand how that works, because they are clearly the professionals that serve the system you just mentioned. So whether you're looking at the ordinary Nigerian out there who has a business, he needs a professional marketer to help him navigate through the pangs of whatever he may be going through. You may think, oh, I can do it. Everybody seems to agree. I'm a marketer, I market, I do whatever. Hey, there are people that are professionals. Professionals are professionals, no doubt about that. And that's the place we expect the impact to be made. And then following through, you talked about government, and to the nation, as it were. I think first and foremost is to really see and ask ourselves as core marketers, the country and indeed the entity called Nigeria must begin to ask itself, what is our DNA? Our DNA is going to express a dimension that allows us to understand the nature of where we are. So today, from a demographic standpoint, we have a lot of young people. And what is driving the young people? What are their motivations for choice? And how can we utilize data, technology, and communicate with them? And I see us playing a credible role in supporting whatever the government will do if are willing to allow us serve and do the right things. We have professionals, we have world-class brand builders in the institute across the various associations that are in tandem with marketing professionals aware, and each of these professional groups can bring something to the table. Ultimately, that will lead us to a point where as a nation we are very productive, and the productivity in itself will galvanize the economy, and ultimately what happens, we all get prosperous. And that's really what it is, because marketing is business and business is marketing. That's it in summary.
Thank you very much, Ide, for your views. Back again to Chioma Afe, who's with you there in the studios. The focus of the conference, and obviously what marketers have been dealing with in recent times and will continue to deal with, are issues around data. We also have analytics, and of course the role of technology in all of this. I'm just wondering, how much attention are you going to pay to the issue around data? We, as a nation, are pretty weak in terms of data, accuracy of data, mining the data. So if there's that weakness in terms of data, of course, not unconnected to the informality of our businesses, the informality of a number of our settlements, and just sometimes just pure disorganization. So how do you deal with this in the marketing sense? Almost like a pilot sometimes flying blind.
Thank you for that question. You're right in saying we do have challenges when it comes to data, and I think it's more to do with the accuracy of data and the data capture process. I think one of the things that will be thrown up tomorrow during the conversation, especially when we speak on that age of data and tech, second panel, would be around how to even begin that data analytics process. We've got three of the panelists there who are part of either startup businesses. They started their own businesses. They have worked on payment platforms, and these are people who are innovating and pioneering when it comes to data collection and accurately targeting customers with marketing information. So I know that tomorrow we'll have those kinds of conversations and questions around how are we capturing data differently, how are we piloting data analytics models or creating this model differently to be able to improve on how we communicate with our customers, what we tell them, how we even develop products differently to deal with the specific needs of our customers. But I think in the larger sense of it, and if you look at a lot of corporate organizations, especially both FMCG, the financial sector, the tech sector, the telco businesses now are actually investing quite a lot in terms of data science, in terms of data technology, in actually looking at what the younger generation is more interested in. If you speak to any child now, even in the public schools, they are looking at coding. They are looking at how to manipulate data differently. So when you have these organizations, the private sector organizations especially, saying, look, we need to be more efficient in our spend. The big question around marketing is always, marketing is a cost center. How can marketing, like ID say, now be at the heart of business? And the way marketing can be at the heart of business is through the efficient and effective use of data. So that sort of mindset has been changing over the past, I would say over the past decade. And in the last 3-4 years, it has been galvanized. When you see the effects of the global shutdown in the past 2 years, how have we differentiated? It's by looking at data a bit differently. So maybe we didn't capture it in Nigeria properly before, but now let's take it forward and look at the strides that have been made with BVN. Let's look at our current voting platforms and how we are trying to coordinate PVCs, NIN, working with the telcos. So that is data trying to find a common space and a common platform. And I think that's the beginning of a new story for us. And so the conference will generally throw up some of these conversations, I believe. But more importantly, a lot of businesses and people, both small, medium, and large, are actually looking at data differently and how to use data differently and investing in mining it differently as well to suit the business and to enable that business grow and actually be much more efficient in its output.
All right. In terms of those that will benefit, from this conference, I want to believe, quite frankly, that you can categorize marketers. If there's a categorization of marketers, I'd like to know how has marketing expanded its horizon to accommodate some persons who are just my brothers in the business enclave. I know you have majorly, corporate entities, who have products to services to market and what have you. So are you extending, this conference to such category of marketers and the lower ebb of marketing structure?
I'm sure ID will speak a bit more about this. So let me just say that the way we see the conference, it is but just one button on this panel, on this dashboard of the various buttons that the institute intends, to press over the next year or two. The conference allows us to engage with a limited population, granted. A lot of them are within the private sector. A lot of them are situated in cosmopolitan cities, granted. We do have, like I said, access to online viewership, live stream of the conference, and that window is still open for now. So we expect our brothers and sisters, wherever they find themselves, to please check on our website, and you would find information on how to participate online and be able to watch the conference, ask questions, and so on and so forth. But I think what the institute is doing is providing that platform for learning, providing that platform for networking and engagement through its various other programs, including its state chapters. Now, the state chapters is also a platform where you may not be in the key cities or at the center, but you will be able to tap into the learning opportunity, engagement opportunity. Doesn't matter where you are, but that you practice marketing and being able to make it more of a profession than just something that you do to let your business grow, right? So the institute, I believe, is doing a lot more around sort of spreading that message, spreading that word, democratizing that process, and reaching out through our various chapters, the various communities that would need that support and that push, So, but I think I do probably expatiate on that.
Yeah, thank you, Choma. I believe that as we look at our setting, I do agree with you. There's an informal sector and there's a formal sector. clearly this is about the formal sector. However, how does this ultimately morph into the informal sector? The platform that we have is to create a learning organization, a learning institute, and by so doing, we encourage, and that speaks to the cadre of membership. So we have the student members, we have the graduate members, we have associates, full members, and then fellows. Now, for a gentleman or lady who is an informal business person, he or she may continue doing what he or she loves doing. That's a vocation. That does not make them a professional. But if they choose to come through the rungs to be seen as certified marketers, then they need to engage at one of those levels. Now, if you are out of university and you study marketing, you'll come in at the graduate marketing membership standpoint. And then the associate to fellow, they have the various criteria for membership. But studentship means you will have to go through some course, you have to go through examinations, and you need to have some degree of qualification. That enhances the value of what you're practicing. It's almost like saying to yourself, there's a method to this madness, and I can see it. There's an art and a science to it. I think that's where we are at. Now, as we go on, based on what Choma said, one of the key drivers for us, the Institute, especially from the governing council, that we are driving is looking at our membership and then looking at a way of driving inclusiveness. And by this inclusiveness, we are looking at optimizing the clusters as they are. So you've just talked about the informal, my guy out there that is, hustling and XYZ. Now, within that cluster, where we will be setting up those clusters, he or she will have an opportunity to interact with professionals, and that by that singular opportunity, may then decide to say, I could do this much better than I've been doing. And influence factor begins to kick in. So it's a case of driving an infusion process by merely, creating an ecosystem that accommodates others, and we start building the blocks as we go on. So that's the way we will be taking it as a professional institute, and ultimately we'll have a lot more, marketers, signing the creed of professionalism.
Yeah, now very quickly, we're pressed for time now. Earlier, you talked about brand builders as part of the marketing family, and of course, anyone would say straight away that brand building fairly more easy for services and products. And then when you get into the political arena, where you're trying to build the brands of individuals or build the brands of entities, Nigerians would argue that we have sometimes now run into what some may describe as offensive propaganda, where claims do not match realities. Why is this happening?
Well, I think it's normal. Every brand is a business, and then from a marketing standpoint, I think the prism to which marketing activities happen, or brand building activities happen around a person. So in identifying what you need to do by way of positioning, you cannot get anything out of your ultimate user, end user, customer, consumer without having a clearly defined positioning. You must actually understand where you're heading. So today, in that process, if you're looking at personal brands, just like you would also have brands that people consume, there are times when things don't go well. And when those times happen, the feedback mechanism by way of research, by way of evaluation, by way of having the custodians, whether they are brand managers or the professionals, being able to say, hey, we need to work on this. So in like manner, brands are built on reputation, and reputation is what makes it happen. So if an individual continually speaks to falsehood, he's building a reputation. Then someday you will hire a professional to help clean up. You don't clean up what you've created over the years, and I think that's what's very, very solid. And I think that's what's very. See how we can turn that around. But it is part of the process.
EDN, that's much we can take from you, EDN, at this point, because we'd like to end the program. But just for our viewers to understand that the conference is taking place tomorrow, as rightly pointed out. That's the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria annual conference. All right, Idi Enang, thank you for being here this morning. Idi Enang is the president, National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria, and of course, chairman and subcommittee of the annual marketing conference. Thank to both of you for being part of our show this morning. All right, now let's take some sports news.
Wilfred Ndidi is inching closer to full recovery from the knee injury which truncated his campaign with Leicester City last season. Ndidi cops the injury in Leicester City's UEFA Europa Conference League clash at French club Gannett. The midfielder missed Leicester City's final 2.5 months of the 2021-2022 campaign as a result of the setback. The Nigerian international has, however, been stepping up his comeback from the injury as he looks to get a head start before Leicester City players return for pre-season training. In tennis, Serena Williams will make her return to Grand Slam tennis at Wimbledon this month after being given a wildcard entry to the singles. The 40-year-old American, who is a 23-time Grand Slam singles champion, has not played since injuring herself in the first round of the SW19 last year. She will make her return to tennis, playing doubles at Eastbourne alongside Tunisia's Ons Jabeur in the week before Wimbledon, and then compete at the All England Club, where she's a 7-time singles champion. Williams' elder sister Venus, who has won the singles at Wimbledon 5 times and the doubles 6 times alongside Serena, was not in the initial batch of singles wildcards announced on Tuesday. However, the 41-year-old who has not played on the WTA Tour since August could still be given one of the remaining 2 spots for the tournament, which begins on 27th June.
All right, that does it for us on Good Morning Nigeria today. Thank you for tuning in. The program returns tomorrow, 7 in the morning. Take care of yourselves. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I'm Kiwian. Have a great day.
Rock Music Federation, in collaboration with Bomb Bikers NG and Zanulea Hotels, presents Rock Music Festival Nigeria, featuring Ambassador Few Brothers, Flourish USA, on the main front, Chris Blair, Ireland, Queen Julieta, Zainab Sule, King Fahd, Frankie Givo, Petro, Italy, Human, Labadidi, Air Paulo, Brazil, host Shug Steve General, Kennedy, MC Miracle, Shortcut, Venomous Gold, Serious Snow, Theme, everything is gonna be alright. Guest appearances, Empress Njama, Lega Ike, Charlie Ball, Hero Father, Black Rock. Date, Saturday, 18 June 2022. Venue, Zanulea Hotel, Abuja. Time, 6 p.m. prompt. Dress code, dress like a rock star. Tickets with ticket sales points, Zanulea Hotels, Uncle D's Restaurant, Capadon Mall, Ibosetu, Drumsticks, Ibosetu, online ticket, Area tickets are gone, www.allevents.ng, or visit www.rockmusicfestival.ng. For sponsorship and inquiries, please call 08092348319. Come, let's rock it.
This is the network service of the NDA.
Now the wise ones have said that man proposes, but God disposes. To some people it's just a saying, but it's the truth. It's something that truly happens, and I've seen it happening. Welcome This is Thoughts for the Week with me, Cordelia Obe. Now let's start off by, answering some of these questions. Do you have parents who maybe now have retired, have gone back to the village, maybe they're somewhere close to you, or your in-laws? You have? Now the next question is, how often do you reach out to them? How often do you care for them? Question. Think about that. There are people who believe that they do not owe their parents anything at all. That after all, did I beg you to call me from heaven? I was staying on my own JJ when you gave birth to me. Sending them to school, doing this and that is something you ought to have done for them because you fathered them or mothered them, so they have come to believe, so they have come to say. But our elders, are they very happy with this? Not so. Let me share a story with you that our elders shared with us. The story of the woodpecker. The woodpecker is a bird that digs very well into wood and all that. It digs very well. At a point, the old mother had wanted to see him. Oh, I'll see her later, I'll see her later. She kept saying that, procrastinating. Then the woodpecker had this very beautiful plan that whenever the old mother dies, he was going to dig a very beautiful grave for the mother using his very powerful beak. And alas, the mother died. And the woodpecker, on that very day of the burial, had a big ball on his beak. And so, the woodpecker could not do what he had dreamt of doing, digging a big grave for the mother. Our elders say, if your relation is dancing well in an arena, but you do not have money to doll on him, your hearty cheers would do. Put simply, you may not have much to give to your parents right now, but your encouragement, talking to them, talking with them, visiting them when you can, would go a long way. It will be like you are cheering them on for all the work they've done. Come to see that in this region, and maybe other parts of the world, I don't know about them, I'll speak about this region. You'll find that when somebody dies, an old man, woman dies, you find everybody rallying around the children trying to raise money to do what? To go and modify their home house, or to try and build a house before they can bury their loved ones. That can be very painful, especially when maybe when they were alive you didn't do anything at all for them. Now let me share some of these quotes with you. To care for those who once cared for you is one of the highest honors. Parents, they didn't leave you when you were young, so don't leave them when they are old. So, our thoughts for the week. Are you one of those who believe that your parents, you do not owe them anything when they become old and all retired because they did what they had to do for you because they gave birth to you and so on? Till I come your way again, do think about these things and remember that what goes around comes around. My name is Cordelia Obe. Take care.
Hi, and welcome to Conversations here on NTA Network, where we talk about everything under the sun. We have a full house. I'm going to leave everyone to introduce themselves today.
Hello, my name is Maimuna Omi Abdullah, aka Kodidi.
Okay.
Kevin is a security and energy consultant and a public good advocate.
Joy Banachi, it's good to be.
Awesome.
Football analyst.
Which is far from what we're going to be talking about today. So in a previous episode where David was here, extramarital affairs took the hot seat, and I watched it. It was a feisty program, even for me watching from the other side, and there were so many opinions on the topic. And for those of you that missed out on that particular episode, we have some snippets for you to see. We'll be right back.
The biggest cheating now is pornography. Because why do I say that? The married man locks his phone, the married woman locks his phone. You're supposed to be at home interacting. But if you realize now, if you check from all the statistics, most of the time they're on the phone. Notice that people are sending new pictures. People are turned on by new pictures. So for me, that's infidelity.
It could be that men who cheat do so because they're not able to get the kind of satisfaction they're looking for in the bedroom. There's that line of thinking. Or even the women who cheat, the men, women, whoever is cheating in the marriage, it could be that it's because something is not going right in the bedroom.
There are men who cheat because their wives are not tall enough, short enough, dark enough, beautiful enough. Just like there are women who cheat because their husbands are not there enough, or they don't say nice things enough. So it's a choice. You could tell this person, okay, please, I need you to do this. I want more of this. So you do have a choice. If every person in a marriage, simply because there are some things you're not getting, you will cheat, there will be no marriage. No.
I love you.
30 seconds. Are you advocating premarital sex?
No.
You need to make this clear.
No. I'm not advocating premarital sex.
So how do you get to know that complementarity before
there
marriage?
There are tests that can be done biologically. You can know the sperm is okay if they are ovaries and everything.
That's only for fertility.
That's one.
Pregnancy.
In terms of virility, in terms of ability to be able to satisfy, you already know who you are. You can tell if this thing can meet up your needs. You don't need to actually have sex before.
I hear most men say, "Oh, she was so beautiful when I met her. Okay, now she's too big. Now she doesn't take care of herself. The person outside looks really nice, looks really sexy." That's the biggest problem we're having now. Some women say, "Oh my God, when I met him, he was so slim. Now he has a pot belly. I can't even see the stuff." So you see, there's so many things that's going on. So let's forget about if the person's shape has changed. I don't see how the bedroom or the bedroom will not change. So now I always tell people, stop looking at the physical. Stop looking at the physical. Love your spouse the way your spouse should be.
Another person here who is saying, my opinion on the issues of cheating is that federal government Nigeria should, as a matter of urgency, ban importation of sex toys so as to reduce cheating.
Awesome. So snippets from the last episode where we were talking about extramarital affairs, and the producers say, you know what, this is something that is real and we need to talk about it again and again and again. I like the fact that you talked about, you know, the physical things will change in the bedroom as someone ages, but I don't know, men tend to be visual beings. You can't keep that size 10 figure for the rest of your life. So do you really think that men can accept a woman as she changes? Some men do, but I think it's very rare for a man to accept his woman as she changes.
Okay, the question is to me. Okay. You said you're talking about the man. We're going to talk about the women and the men.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that the physical physical thing is killing us, because I think it's more of the inside. You know, knowing your woman, loving her the way she is, because whether we like it or not, that figure will change.
It will.
You understand? So, and now if you meet a man, maybe when you got married to the man, he didn't have money, now he's boxed up, so he drinks more, he hangs out more, and when they do this, they tend to drink. So, whether you like it or not,
some to drink.
Well, I think 80% of the men drink. Yeah. That's the honest truth. Maybe they pretend in church that they're not drinking, excluding you. If you don't drink, maybe there are other things that come with adding weight, because most of the time no exercise and all that. And that's why I always say that if you think your spouse is getting out of shape, I think you should work out together, because when you work out together, you talk together, you gist together, because they're always busy, no time for each other. So it's always good for them to just do things they normally don't do.
It's not about it, Kevin. I know you're processing everything. So
yeah, the question you asked, it's something that we need to really go back to the basics. How do we get involved in relationships? I think a lot of the time we only became experiential people because we truly did not know why we're getting into the relationship. We got attracted to this person either by the fingers or some attribute or the intellectual capacity. They get it down there, we truly don't understand what is actually happening in the course of transitions. So you are with this person. How often do you communicate? How best do you put out your cards on the table to know that growth, progress is growth, and this is what happens, and this is how things changes. A lot of the time, the excuses are given are not necessarily excuses, but the character flaws of the individuals. Because that she became fat, that was why I don't like her anymore. It's actually a character flaw that you actually use as an excuse to carry out your deep-seated intention.
So what you're saying is that he might be, but he really doesn't mean that. It's something else.
It might be said, because in some cases, those they go out to shit with are like those that are actually running away from my home. So knowing self is key. It doesn't mean that all of us are saints. No, it is just that we need to be more deliberate, conscious, and ownership of our flaws and present them on the table. It's very possible for you to be with a partner and never shit. It's very possible. If both of you are accountable and you understand that both became naked and unashamed, it means that there's no secrecy here, right? The phone should not be one private. So that's one variable. So anything we do in the secret, it will oftentimes result to things that we don't really bargain for. Take it or leave it. No matter how righteous you tend to present yourself to be, once you start doing things in the secret, it goes off, the track. So that's actually the problem. Once you identify those things, it's very easy to actually love your partner, even if they get too fat, because the person you're loving is not the physique, it's a soul you're falling in love with. And by the way, love is a one-way street. If you come to understand it from that capacity, that is a one-way street, you have to be matured enough to be able to love someone, to understand that it's not the things, but it's how best you're able to put out yourself to give to this person sacrificially, not necessarily expecting a reciprocity, but that the individual also receive that and appreciate you for who you are, in order to be able to become that what you want to become for yourself.
Well, we're going to focus more on the effect on children. It happens in homes, and people focus on the man and wife, the husband and the wife, and the kids don't really have a say in the matter. It's happened. Nobody's asking them for their opinion, how they feel. You are the specialist when it comes to that. I don't know if you've handled topics or issues like where kids are clearly, emotionally drained or they feel threatened by what's happened in the home, and how, we can help children in those situations.
Well, it's something that does happen. That's, like you said, this is when we're in a society, and these are realities of society. As much as we pretend, because sometimes parents pretend things are okay because they don't want kids to worry, but they see through it because there's usually tension in the home. And then sometimes there's fights, and it affects the children negatively. And most children find it hard, because the truth is we don't discuss things like this outside. We don't even discuss it within the home. There's so much stigma, there's so much shame, there's so much fear attached to it, especially with the parents, between the parents and the kids. How do you confront your parents and say, I found this out, something? And
most of them find these things out. They can hear daddy, in the other room talking to someone. They can see that mommy is a bit interested in this particular man from church. Joy, you know what I'm talking about. It's the typical growing up phase. I think every child may have noticed one or two things like that.
Something happened in church Sundays ago.
See?
And I had a friend who passed like a year ago, and she had a daughter. And the daughter still comes to church. The daddy drops, because I think the daddy is a Catholic.
Okay.
The dad is a Catholic, and the girl comes to church. And I saw her. I said, "Hello, beautiful. How are you doing? How is school and all that?" And she was chitty-chatting with me. And she said, "Mommy, guess what happened in school? People think that I've gone crazy." And I said, "Why?" She said they had a talk in school. It was a talk. And they were talking about real life issues, and she just brought something topic up, and she's the biggest problem that people are having is sexual issues. And they looked at her and said she was 12. Why would she do that? And when she started talking, parents were murmuring and all that, and she says, "Big mommy, am I okay?"
Oh wow.
It triggered me, because I knew, because her mom was gone, there's certain things she would discuss with her mom. You can't discuss with your dad.
Yeah.
And